Welcome to Tales Over Ales. What's Brewin? We're your hosts, Jill,
Jess,
Anthony,
Michaela. During this podcast, we will be doing a power hour. So when you hear this sound, we will be doing a shot. Feel free to join us, but please do so responsibly. Tales Over Ales.
what's brewing?
Welcome, listeners, to episode 18. 18. And we are in the Halloween mood, so we are doing serial killers this episode.
Yeah.
And in honor of our serial killers, we're all drinking Bloody Marys. And Michaela is really super thankful that this episode is the Bloody Mary episode, because Bloody Mary is a known cure for a hangover. And she'd be hungover all day.
Yeah, she came into the power hungover.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good luck.
Yes, I did.
Good luck to all of us. And, Oi!
Oi.
You're going to hear a new sound this episode because apparently our last sound has been removed. Very upsetting. Oh, these are delicious.
That actually is really good.
So, serial killers. What is the definition of a serial killer?
I think it's anyone who kills more than two people at two separate times.
Right. And there's like a cooling off period in between.
Yeah.
So it's like a
Yeah,
calculated
Two separate times.
Killers.
Two separate incidents.
Man, researching these serial killers was crazy.
Yeah, it was. And just like, when you read about like what these people are capable of, it's like, are they even human?
Yeah.
Like,
And they believe the stuff that they are thinking.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Some of them are crazy. I mean, it's insane. But I was looking on the FBI website to see what... Oi!
Oi.
Oi! I'm going to have to get used to doing oi to that sound. Miss my drink. The FBI puts serial killers into three categories. So they're either organized, unorganized, or mixed. So if they're organized, they're like usually... Maybe they're married, they have a wife and kids, they have a job. If they're unorganized, they're kind of, I guess they're living on the outskirts of society, really. And then there'll be mixed versions. But they also have categories for the motives, which I thought were pretty cool. So they have 4 motives that that serial killers fall into. They could be a visionary, meaning that they think God is telling them to do it, or they hear voices, or they think their dog is possessed. I mean, you've seen all of these when researching it.
Yeah.
There's mission-oriented, meaning that they probably think they need to rid the world of prostitutes or gay people or whatever the case may be.
Take down the government or something.
Right. Then you have hedonistic, which is just where they really... They really, really enjoy killing, just for the fun of it. And then you have the power or control hungry. So those are when the FBI is researching a serial killer, they will put them into those categories. Though there seems to be a lot of overlap, I'm sure, of multiple categories. But so we all decided we were going to research a serial killer that we thought was interesting, and we're going to learn about him.
Well, you mentioned the motives. I also read about the signs.
Let's see if any of us have any of them.
3 signs of a serial killer. One of them is being cruel to animals, especially pets.
Right, it's usually smaller, defenseless animals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll practice on animals first before they do it on humans.
Oh my gosh.
And then another one is
Oi.
setting fire to objects.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 3rd sign is regularly wetting the bed.
Oh, yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be like bedwetting until they're teens, sometimes later.
Yeah.
And
Why,
that's like
why do you think that is?
Well, I
Why is
heard...
that a sign?
I don't know.
Excitement.
But what I read was like in most serial killers, not all, but most of them, there's a part of your brain that controls empathy, and it is either deactivated or very little activity in serial killers that they test. And this also, they believe, is linked to bedwetting while you're sleeping. It's also like the same part of the brain, so it's not as active as it would be in a normal person.
Yeah.
You don't feel empathy or sympathy for other people, which is like able to brutally murder multiple people.
Right. Oi.
Oi.
Well, I think we're okay. I don't think any of us have those signs, right?
No.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so we're all safe here.
Yeah, that's good.
Good to know. Safe space.
I'm really.
We're in a safe space. So, why don't we kick it off with our first serial killer? Michaela, want to take it away?
Yes, I do. So I looked up the serial killer Richard Chase, also known as the Vampire of Sacramento.
Oh, but he loved Bloody Marys.
So the reason why he's called the Vampire of Sacramento is because he used to drink his victims' blood. And he lived his life under a series of powerful delusions that had, in the long run, fatal consequences.
Don't.
Oh, I know. Whoa. What were the illusions? Oh, wait.
Boy.
So he was actually, he actually turned up having schizophrenia.
Mm.
So he actually went into an institute later on in his life due to it in order to protect himself from himself. So it wasn't even like they were worried about other people. They were worried about him harming himself.
Wow.
But later on, it became deadly. So he mutilated the bodies of 6 victims in California in the late 1970s. Early on in his life, he showed signs of mental illness. His father was very strict and sometimes physically abusive, and so due to that, he never got Richard any help with his mental illness or anything.
And that's a huge similarity that most of the serial killers will have, is that they were abused as a child in some way.
Boy.
As a child, he started setting several things on fire, small things.
It's like the FBI knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
He frequently wet the bed.
Oh, snap.
And he displayed signs of cruelty towards animals.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
And so actually these 3 habits are called the MacDonald Triad. Have you heard of that? Or like the triad of sociopathy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
right?
you get it.
Yay. He actually said later on he thought at times, so he actually started getting into drugs, prescribed pills, all that stuff. And so that didn't really help with his mental stability. And he got so heavy into them that he started saying that his heart would stop. And he thought,
Boy.
and he thought he was a walking corpse. So that Ron, I don't know, made his mind go crazy. Actually, he also started fearing that his heart was stopping. He had to take care of his body. So he thought he lacked vitamin C, so he would press full oranges to the skin of his forehead because he believed the brain would absorb the nutrients directly from the orange.
Is that true? Anyone know?
No.
You want to try that?
Does it actually work, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No, okay.
No.
I'm pretty sure
She
you
got a
have to
sticky forehead.
digest it.
Yeah, all I got was a sticky forehead. So at the age of 25, he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and he was institutionalized in 1975. They later released him because they thought they helped him enough to where he was no longer
Boy.
a harm to himself. But then as soon as he got out, his condition worsened. And but it was too late. They let him leave, but he was supposed to stay with his mom, but there was nothing binding him to actually stay there, legally binding.
Right.
So shortly after, he just moved out, and he moved in with these 4 guys. And they later started learning all of these weird quirks about him that they didn't like, and they asked him to leave, and he refused. He was like, I'm not leaving.
Mm.
So then they all moved out eventually, one by one. So he got the nickname Dracula in the hospital because the hospital assistants witnessed him kill and attempt to drink the blood of several birds.
Oh my God.
That's disgusting.
He did this in an effort
Boy.
to stave off the effects of poison that was turning his blood to powder.
Right.
He believed this. It was not true, right?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah. That's what he thought in the hospital. The pills they were giving him, he thought it was poison.
Mhm.
So, then when he got out, he started killing small animals and would eat them raw or blend their organs with soda and drink it.
Ooh, this sounds tasty.
I would say he
Some bubbly
would do it,
milkshake.
but he would need a chaser.
Right, yeah.
I need a Coke chaser.
What a loser.
So,
Yeah, really.
his killings started in 1977. So then also when you think about, he was in the hospital in 1975, and by 1977 he started killing. So he wasn't even in the hospital for that long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
less than 2 years
Well,
later.
not
he's
long
killing.
enough, obviously.
Yeah.
Because he was crazy. Killing, drinking blood, and oi.
Wait.
Oh,
Wait.
You need way more than 2 years to solve that. You need at least like 3.5 years.
So in 1977, he was upset at his mother because she didn't invite him over for Christmas. So he was very mad. He was in a car and he saw a 51-year-old man. He was unloading the groceries from his car to give to his wife, and he pulled out a pistol and shot him and just drove off. So,
Damn it, Mom. I feel that rage. My mom doesn't answer the phone. Like, what could you possibly be doing that you're not answering the
Yep.
phone when
I
I
know.
call?
Whole
She
life.
says that every time.
What are you doing? Yeah. I know. I get really upset.
I say
You
that
are
to
my
mom,
mother. Are
too.
you supposed to be there and answer the phone? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Who's
Yep.
more important than your daughter?
Right. No one. Hello.
I mean, come on. I'm going to find some guy unpacking his groceries. Oh, wait.
Wait.
Why?
Take it out on him.
Maybe not. So that was his first killing. And then on January 23rd, 1978, he started realizing that he would just go into anyone's house that was unlocked. So, me reading this, I was like, man, I'm always locking my door now when I'm home
Yeah.
alone. Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
No way. This pregnant
This
woman.
is what took you to lock you. You should be locking
Yes.
your door anyway.
Oh, I always lock the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Anthony does.
You don't lock the door?
She sometimes doesn't even close it.
Okay, I
What?
close it. I close it.
Nah.
I have a dog.
Why, you think because the building is secure?
Yeah.
You know people just let people in and drop off packages, right? You ever hear the UPS killer?
Shut up.
I made that one up. I don't know. Maybe there was. I don't know. Oi.
Anyway.
Go on. Locking your doors.
Sorry. So, 1978. A pregnant woman. He went into her apartment and he shot her 3 times and then stabbed her with a butcher knife before cutting out her organs and drinking her blood.
Wait, he stabbed her with a butcher knife?
Yes.
You know how hard you gotta push a butcher knife to stab someone with it?
Really? Why do you know that?
Because think about a butcher knife, it's not sharp on the end, it's flat. Butcher knife is like a square.
Isn't that like a...
But it's sharp, though.
Yeah, if you chop, but to stab someone with it?
I thought a butcher knife was like one of those big
No,
knives. we have
butcher
in
knife's
the-
like those big square ones.
Oh, I thought that was
Okay.
called something else.
Anyways, he later confessed that he used a yogurt container as his cup when drinking her blood.
Oi.
Boy.
You gotta think how messed up that is.
Yes, that's messed up.
Like,
Also, it has to taste disgusting. It has to. I mean, when you get like, you ever get like a cut or something, or you split your lip.
yeah, suck on it.
Oh yeah, so I imagine drinking it. Like that's just you're tasting it mixed with your spit already. Imagine drinking blood. You know how thick that is,
No, he mixed it with soda, you said, right? Sometimes.
and
No,
yogurt.
that-
Apparently, he
that-
was making a parfait.
But,
making a
the
blood-
birds.
but he
blood, right?
needed it
Yeah,
to live.
The bird's blood is what he like blended and drank. But during these killings, it was just straight from the body.
Oh, well, he needed it to live. He was turned to powder.
Right.
Exactly.
So wait a second. This is the guy who would only go into the apartments if the door was unlocked
Mhm.
because he felt like that was being invited in.
Yes.
So he thought he was a vampire.
Yes.
He must have actually really believed it, because isn't that what vampires do? Like, a vampire can't come into your, like the folklore.
Oi.
Oi.
Yeah,
is
they
that
can't come in unless they're
you're invited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thought it was like a way of them kind of like asking for it.
Mhm.
In a way. Why would you leave your door unlocked? Obviously, you're welcoming in whoever because your door's unlocked. So he just went in.
Yeah.
And decided to kill them because that's what you do.
Because that's what happens.
Yeah. You don't lock your door, I'm gonna drink your blood.
Yeah, seriously.
You're gonna learn today.
So his last killing spree was January 27th, 1978. So these are all like days apart from each other. And this one was his most gruesome and disturbing one. When I read this, I was like, oh, man, this guy's messed up. So their door was unlocked.
Oi.
Oi.
Sounds like a doorbell, this sound.
There was 2 ladies home and then a 6-year-old and a 22-month-old. And he immediately shot the boy, who I believe was a 6-year-old, twice in the head. And then they found the owner of the house in the hallway, partially cannibalized. Her stomach was cut open and multiple organs were missing. There was a failed attempt to remove one of her eyes, and her corpse had been sodomized. What is that?
That's where you know, he probably raped her in the butt.
Oh.
That's what sodomized is, when you stick something up the butt.
Oh.
What? What was that? Oi. Oi. There's a very, very awkward look between Michaela and Anthony right there. Very awkward. Michaela is not subtle at all. She's like, oh. Wiggles eyebrows.
No, because as soon as you said it, I was like, oh. Like, and Anthony's looking at me like smirking.
It was not.
No.
I didn't even know there was a clinical term for it. Sickles.
Anthony, you know how Jill is about big words.
I know what sodomize means.
Now you do. So, the baby was missing from the scene of the crime, and the decapitated corpse was found months later behind a church. So, what happened was,
Oi.
when he was on this killing spree, the neighbor, I guess, heard something or whatever, so she wanted to come check on him. So he didn't have enough time to kill the baby or do whatever, so he panicked, stole the owner's keys to their car, and took the baby and just drove off. And then later did whatever to that poor baby.
Yeah.
So when the neighbor was like suspicious of whatever she was hearing or whatnot, she came over, then she immediately went and called the cops. So the cops came. So he didn't have like a lot of time. So when the cops got there, they saw everything. They were able to connect his prints were in the blood of like the victim. So it was kind of easy. So the cops raided his house and found brains in his fridge. And then all of the knives and everything. Everything was stained with blood. So that was also how they connected him to all these other murders. So he was sentenced to death by gas chamber. I think it was 6 counts of murder he was charged with. And inmates were so scared of him that they kept telling him to kill himself because they were petrified of him. Like, they didn't want him there, so they were just like, kill yourself. So he did that. He killed himself by overdosing on anti-anxiety medicine in 1980.
Wow.
Yep. He saved it all up and then
And took it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was great. You did quite a bit of research.
Yeah, that was...
You even went into some real graphic detail.
I know. I was kind of like, this is too graphic.
Nah.
He's a vampire.
He's a vampire, yeah. But, I mean, we were talking about that earlier.
Right.
There are a couple of different... It seems like there are, like, a lot of serial killers are cannibals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy to me because, like, when I was researching this stuff, we were coming across a lot of different facts that people would, like, people who ate people, like what they would say, like there was one who would only eat men because they said that the man's meat tastes better than women's meat.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another one who wouldn't eat fat people because they said that the meat was too salty and it was too much cholesterol in it. So I was like, phew. and then I think it was Jeffrey Dahmer that said he would not eat people that had tattoos because the ink made their meat taste weird. Isn't that crazy? Tattoos, chubby. I'm good. And I'm a woman, so I don't fit any of those things.
I thought that was interesting, though.
Yeah. Oi.
Because then it's almost like, is it true? Is all those things accurate? We won't know.
It works the same for like animals, like a cow or something. You get like lean meat or
yeah,
you know,
it's different.
Grass-fed beef, like it all tastes different.
Mm.
Wild meat's different.
I always want to taste your meat.
Ugh.
That's creepy.
But I think that, I mean, obviously, cannibals. I mean, I would guess cannibals have to be serial killers because no one's going to offer themselves up to be a meal for people who want to eat people, right?
Yeah.
So that's got to be the reason. They're just like, well, if you're a cannibal, you have to kill people. What are you going to do?
Go to a organ donation
store?
Yeah, rate it. Burgerless.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're like hospital workers. Instead of taking organs somewhere, they're just bringing it home.
They're bringing organs home. Oh my god, we just pissed off the entire medical professional field.
Tell me ain't true.
But I've got some interesting facts about the statistics of victims. So there have been 9,515 victims of serial killers in the United States. 9,515.
It's not a lot.
It doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean, if you think about I think the guy who in America that had the most victims, he had somewhere like
Samuel Little.
Yeah, what was it? It was like 600.
He was confirmed and convicted of 93.
93, but there was another one. There was that was non-medical. The Shipman guy, he was a medical professional.
Harold Shipman.
Yeah.
He has the highest known victim count, which is 218 proven murders.
Right.
But they think
why would we give her celery? This is what we're gonna have to listen to. But yes, so he had.
I think it's possibly 250, but he has the highest victim count.
Right. So if you think of it that way, it could be 9,500 victims of whatever serial killers. But do you know, 48.6 are male, 51.4 are female.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, because it's usually white guys who have an issue with women.
Isn't that so upsetting?
That's the majority of it. And you always kill, a serial killer will always kill within their own ethnic. Like most of the time they're killing their own ethnic group. So if it's a white guy, he's killing other white people. So it's like it usually stays within that ethnic group when it comes to serial killers.
I wonder why.
But DC, Alaska, and Louisiana have the most total serial killings in the United States. And
Oi.
God, this is horrible.
This is the worst mukbang. Anyway, they say that serial killers, like you talked about him, like sodomizing them. A lot of the time, it has to do with sexual. They have very strong sex drives, so a lot of the time, it has to do with sexual predator. You would know. I don't know what you. Anyway. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Also, there is a difference between male. They find that the difference between male and female serial killers is that women tend not to physically assault or mutilate their victims.
Mm-hmm.
That men do that more.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oi. Well, because women got other things to do. So I got to take their time mutilating body.
I feel like when women do it, it's because they hate you.
Yeah.
You had to do something.
I can't see eating meat and stuff like this. I can't see a female doing it.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's a male thing. Sorry.
What?
Yeah, it's totally a man thing. Out of all of us here, you would wind up being a serial killer based on the stats.
That's offensive. All right, who's up next?
Well, I'll go, but I can't follow that. That was great. That was a great story. I mean, that was great.
She
You did a
works
really
well when
good
she's
job.
hungover.
Yeah, and I did Harvey Miguel Robinson. So he is one of the youngest serial killers in American history. And he was the first serial killer in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, damn.
Ooh, local boy.
And he's currently sitting on death row. So he was apprehended when he was 18, and
Oi.
he's 45 years old right now. So a little bit of his background. Robinson's father, he was an alcoholic, physically and emotionally abusive to Robinson's mother, and then he eventually left the whole family. His father, he was later incarcerated for the beating of his mistress.
His father was?
Yeah. So he had 3 victims.
Oi.
So his first victim was a female. She was 29 years old. She was a nurse's aide, and he broke into her home. He raped her and then murdered her.
What year is this?
Damn, Michaela, come on.
Well, you expect her to know the years? Well, let's see. He's 45 now. He was apprehended when he was 18, so that's what, 20... Oi. That's what, 27 years ago. So it was 1997.
The span of the crimes was from 1992 to 1993. He killed 3 victims in a 1-year period.
Okay. Go.
His second victim was a 15-year-old female and was a newspaper carrier who he abducted her on her
Oi.
newspaper. Oi. This is ridiculous. I'm so thrown off. I got the crunching in my ear. I got this bell, which is creepy because we're doing serial killers. This is like totally the wrong ringtone for this.
Yes. Okay.
He abducted her, he raped her, and then he stabbed her 22 times.
Fuck.
The third victim
Excess, right?
was also a female. She was 47 years old. She was a grandmother, and he broke into her house, raped her, and murdered.
So he was all into, like, raping people.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have no type.
No.
He's like, you a grandma? Okay.
No. He stalked out his victims.
Oi.
Oh, so he had 2 victims that actually survived.
Oh, shit.
So one victim, she helped. So what he did was he went into the house and he intended to kill her, but she was sleeping with her boyfriend. So he decided he's going to kill the 5-year-old baby instead. So he went in and he strangled the baby and raped the 5-year-old. And somehow the baby survived.
What?
So that was one of the victims that survived. Another victim was older. He came in, broke into her house, raped her, choked her, and she was actually able to run away. Then he would sit and stalk her house so that he can go back and finish the job because he didn't want her to identify him. They actually used her as bait to lure him back, which worked. So he came back in, but the cops were in the house. He broke in. Cops were in the house. There was a shooting, and the police officer shot Robinson. So Robinson ends up going to the hospital, and
What a dummy.
that's how he was arrested and caught.
He took himself to the hospital. Oi. So he's like, I just got into this shootout with police because I was stalking this female and I was shot. Please help me.
I don't know if he said all that.
Right, no. It was implied.
He went to get medical attention, and he was arrested there because he left, a trace of blood, and then the cops were calling the hospitals, and they found his dumb ass there. Thank God.
Yeah.
But
That is so creepy. It almost reminds me of, like, Halloween. You know what I mean? When, like, Michael Myers is, like, stalking that woman's house, like, and she's just, like, waiting for him. Could you imagine being put in that situation?
No.
Like, someone was stalking you. They almost had you. You ran away. And the cops now want him to continue stalking you.
Yeah, that is very creepy. Especially as a female, that's
I
like
would shit
that's
myself every night.
Yeah. But
Oi.
a lot of people get caught. Most of the serial killers get caught in stupid ways.
Yeah.
Like I think it was Ted Bundy that got caught at a traffic stop. Yeah, he got caught. Yeah, he got pulled over because they thought he stole a car.
Oh, yes.
So he got pulled over
Then
the
they checked his trunk.
Yeah, so it's like little things like that. It's always we were just talking about this, where it was. We said it's usually like the little patrolman
Yeah.
that wind up to get like they don't even know they just stumble upon this killer.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
it's usually by luck that they just happen
Yeah.
to, catch it.
So he was arrested at the hospital.
And then October 2019, Pennsylvania judge. Well, he had several court hearings because he was sentenced
Boy.
originally one way, but then it was like peeled because the first victim he killed her when he was 17, so it was like it changed because you're considered juvenile. So anyway, he's on death row. But in 2019, a PA judge urged Robinson to consider donating his brain to science and told him that that's the one gift you can give to society.
Huh.
And he said he'll consider it.
And his name was Harvey Robinson, you said, right?
Can you get this?
Oh, yeah. What about this?
Now I understand why people serial kill.
Tales over ales.
What's brewing?
I miss the drink.
Yeah.
The drink.
Trying.
Yeah. That really sucks that not having it really sucks.
I'll find something.
I want to talk to you guys about Herman. Herman what?
Oh, I think I say murder.
Herman. Oi.
Oi.
Herman
Oi.
Webster Mudgett.
Mudgeon.
Now
Mudgett.
imagine that's your last name.
Curmudgeon?
You got a problem. I say your last name, you're angry. This guy was an angry dude.
Yeah, that's why.
He's also better known as Dr. Henry Howard Holmes, or H.H. Holmes. Okay? He was known also as the Beast of Chicago from his killings. But he was America's first serial killer. So, he was born in 1861 in New Hampshire. He married Clara in 1878, had a son born in 1880. In 1882, he attended the University of Michigan's Department of Medicine and Surgery, and he graduated. It turns out that he was kind of violent with his first wife, so she left him. Oi. And he made his way to New York. There was a rumor that Holmes was seen with a little boy that later disappeared in New York, but they never investigated it. I mean, it's the 1860s. So they never investigated it, and, Holmes just moved to Philadelphia. That was his next stop. So in Philadelphia, he worked at a drugstore. And mysteriously, a child died after taking medicine that Holmes gave him. So he was getting a little bit, he was a con man at heart. Like that was basically his thing. He would use cadavers in the University of Michigan school to have insurance fraud. So he would take out life insurance policies on them and all that stuff. So he was kind of a con man. But now I guess these mysterious things started happening with him and children. So he moved from there,
Oi.
to Chicago, our favorite city. So he moved to Chicago. He officially changed his name to H.H. Holmes, and just to hide, his past indiscretions. In August of 1886, he got a job at a drugstore in the Englewood neighborhood. Across the street from the store was an empty lot, so he purchased it. And his plan was to build a mixed-use building on this lot. So he was going to build a 2-story building, and the first story would have a storefront. He intended on opening another drugstore. And then the second floor would have apartments. Right?
I just have one question. Is he still married at this point in time?
At this point in time, he is still married. And then he was married to Clara. They never got divorced. He married again in Philadelphia, but it wasn't really legal. And then he married again once he got to Chicago. So he had 3 marriages, and that's why he was also kind of considered a bigamist, because he had multiple marriages, multiple wives at one time. But Clara was not with him, and I don't really know what happened to his other wives. It doesn't really have much information on that. So he bought this empty lot, and his idea was to open this building. So he was running running insurance scams through there. He was getting investors to invest in this project and then stealing the money and all those kinds of things. So he was doing some just weird shit there. So when in 1893, the Chicago World's Fair, the World Fair was coming to Chicago. And he decided that he was going to add a third level to this building, and he was going to open it up as a hotel for people who were coming in for the the World's Fair. Now, this hotel was called the World's Fair Hotel, but it actually wound up being more known as the Murder Castle. And in this hotel, he had soundproofed rooms. He had mazes of hallways, some that led to nowhere. All the rooms had chutes in them from the floor, so that that would go directly down. So the idea was that when he had people in these rooms, a chute would open, and they would go right down into the basement. In the basement, he had acid vats, quicklime, and a crematorium to dispose of the bodies of these people. So he had, on the second floor, it was lined with different torture rooms. Some of them had they were airtight with gas lines leaking into it. So he would basically rent out the rooms to these people, who were coming in for the World Fair as a hotel. And a lot of people never ever came out of it. So he would torture them, he'd murder them, and then the chutes would bring them down into the basement. And then in the basement, he had this massive setup of it's like a surgery, medical instruments type of room. And he would take out their organs and their bones, and then he would sell it on the black market. So this guy's whole MO was to make money. Yeah, he was just a money maker, and that was how he did it, I guess. Being a doctor didn't pay enough. I don't know. But he would sell the skeletons to local colleges and universities.
Yeah, but couldn't you just get them from a graveyard or something?
Yeah, I know. If you wanted to dig, I guess, but I guess he enjoyed it at the same time. Yeah. So he'd sell the organs and all that stuff in the black market. So after that, it started to become suspicious, this hotel. Obviously, people were going missing. So once people started to get on to him that something was going on, he and his business partner moved again. And after they moved, he and his business partner came up with an idea that they were going to run another life insurance scam, and the business partner was going to pretend that he died so that they can get the life insurance money. Except H.H. Holmes actually killed him and took the money. And it was for that murder that he got caught. And it was for that murder that he was convicted and sentenced to hang. Meanwhile, they're saying that he killed close to 200 people in this hotel. And he only got caught and convicted for that one.
Well, after he moved and abandoned the building, and everyone in this building.
They did. They went in the building. But I mean, this was at that point, it was 1895 or something when they went in there. So there wasn't, there wasn't a lot that they were going on that they caught this guy doing this stuff. You know, it was kind of just, he just kind of got away with it. So he hung for the murder of his business partner. And, what he said, one of the last things he said was, he claimed that he could not help the fact that he was a murderer no more than the poet can help the inspiration to sing. So it was just in him. So it's called the Murder Castle.
That's crazy.
There are so many things that's actually in. There was a show that it was in recently. I think it was Mindhunters. They talked about it.
It reminds me of Saw.
Yeah.
You know,
I wonder if that kind of was the inspiration for it.
Maybe, but my whole thing is how did they connect him to all of this afterwards? There had to be something.
Oi.
You know what I mean?
Well, people kept disappearing, and they would question him about it. But because he was getting rid of the organs, the bodies, he had a crematorium. It was at that point it wasn't like they could run DNA or anything at that point in time. So he was suspected of a lot of this stuff, and they couldn't prove any of it. They could only get him on the murder of his business partner. He himself confessed to 27 murders. He confessed to 27. He named 27 people that he killed. But they're saying that they think it was about 200 people that came through there for the World's Fair.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. He's a creepy guy with a big, like, long handlebar mustache and the bowl cap, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a real creep.
I just, like, think that the black market existed back then.
There was no
Black
internet.
markets always existed.
Oi.
Wait.
But, like, how did it happen? How did he sell these things?
Right. How do you just know who to get in touch to in order for the black market?
Bad people will always find other bad people.
Yeah.
You ever notice that?
But you said that he was selling it to like universities and stuff like that. Like they never questioned.
Right, like they
like,
never.
where are you getting organs from?
Well, the organs, I don't know if he was selling those to universities or hospitals. It just said that he was selling it on the black market. Organs and bones on the black market. But some of his skeletons did wind up at universities.
And they
for
were
study.
never like.
Where did you get these?
Well, he was a doctor. So nobody, like back then, it wasn't like you questioned a doctor. You know what I mean? It was just kind of, he was a doctor and he's like, I have this skeleton. I don't know. To me, I would question it, but I guess back then it wasn't like a weird thing. You know? So, but he played with all of his people. Most of them were women. Oi.
Oi.
So if you went and some of his victims were even people that he had come work there. He'd hire them to work there, and then they would go missing. So they say it could be like 200 people, but he was the very first serial killer in America.
So is the building still standing?
It is still standing. They actually turned it into a post office. In 1938, it became a post office. So somewhere there, it didn't say like where or but somewhere it was the Englewood neighborhood at that time. So it's still standing.
I think it's like super haunted.
Probably. Who would ever want to go in there?
I would.
That's creepy.
You ever think like we don't hear of serial killers anymore nowadays? You know, you think it's because it's so hard?
Oi.
Oi.
What?
To,
No,
like,
you
get away
definitely
with it.
still hear about serial killers.
I never hear about serial killers anymore.
They said something like, since 1980, there are 220,000 unsolved murders in the United States. Still unsolved from 1980. There's a whole group of people that actually believe, and they work with law enforcement, but they're more like researchers. They wrote this article where they think that right now there could be about 2,000 active serial killers in the United States, but they're not connecting. You know, you would think it would be easier to catch them because of all the technology we have,
Yeah.
but the technology also aids the serial killer in going undetected. So it actually it helps them as well. So even though it helps the police and the FBI catch people, it's also helping them not get caught. So it's like a double-edged sword. But they're saying 2,000.
How's that?
Oi.
Well, I guess because they know what the police are looking for, right?
Yeah,
So
you
it
hear
gets
everything
easier to hide
now.
it,
If you can hack into things, even better.
Yeah.
You know.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but there could be like 2,000 active serial killers right now in the United States. I read the article, and then another guy in the FBI was like, I think it could be about maybe 3,000 or 4,000. 2,000 is kind of low.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, you don't, like, over the span of time that somebody is a serial killer, like, your serial killer, his murders were like in a week span or something, 2-week span.
Yeah.
So it was it was more where you could probably link them together. But if you have a serial, like that guy Little.
Yeah,
Sammy Little.
he was arrested in California a couple years ago.
Yeah, and he was doing it for 35 years.
Yeah, and he was arrested in 2015,
Mhm.
and his murder started in 1970.
Yeah.
And they confirmed he's killed over 93 people.
Yeah.
They suspect he's killed over
Boy.
300.
Oh.
Yeah.
Boy.
I just think that like now, like if there was like a serial killer like in the area, like how do you think you guys would like react? Like if there was like 5 murders in like a month, would you be scared?
Well, I mean, I guess it would depend on what the victims are like, right?
I remember.
Chubby, tattoos.
Oh,
Right.
damn. I'm yeah, then I'm scared. I'm scared then.
I remember a while back when they had that DC sniper.
Mhm.
Everyone was terrified.
Mhm.
Everyone was terrified to get gas. Getting gas
Yeah.
was like the most terrifying thing you could do in your whole life.
Yeah. I mean, it had to be. I know, like when my mom will talk about like the Son of Sam
Yeah.
because that was around the time that she was at the age close to the age of the victims, and how scared everybody was that had daughters because this guy was just going around killing women. You know,
that was also the same time as the Zodiac killer, right?
I think so. But Zodiac was West Coast, right?
I don't remember which one's which.
Yeah, I think so. Son of Sam was in New York.
Yeah, I know one of them is New York, one's California.
Yeah, so the Zodiac was in California. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I'd be scared. I would be scared. But I mean, if you think about it, you really don't know anybody. Like,
Yeah.
you come into contact with. There could be a serial killer in this building.
The Zodiac killer was never caught, right?
No.
Was Son of Sam caught?
Yeah.
Who was?
I read about this serial killer. I don't know. I forgot the name. Maybe you guys know. You know better. But he was actually the reporter. And he was talking about this serial killer. And he was writing about it. This and that. And then he actually turned out to be that serial killer.
Oi.
Oi.
Oh, no, I don't know. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
I looked at this thing where you get serial killer names. Once again, Michaela's was the best.
Oh my gosh.
So Anthony's serial killer name was Back Alley Disembowler.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Jess's serial killer name was Boxcar Mangler.
Oh, that sucks.
Mm-hmm. It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's got a nice ring to it.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be me.
Nah, it doesn't sound like you. You don't sound like someone who mangles.
No.
No. But Michaela's was my favorite. Once again, she's just got the right initials for this game. Her serial killer name was Playground Tickler. It's like, that's perfect.
That was your nickname in high school, wasn't it?
No, what? Doesn't make sense. What was yours?
I didn't do mine.
You never.
I don't
do your own.
I don't
Come
do
on.
mine because Jess and I have the same exact initials. So, you know, it's the same thing. Oi.
Oi.
And then I found one where it's like, take the last letter of your last name. And I was like, oh, this is one I could do for both me and Jess. And I was like, wait, no, I can't. She's got my last name.
Well, not if you do one test for her and then the other test for you.
Yeah.
I have a good serial killer name for me. This is definitely what my name would be, but I can't think of what, you know, when you like squish somebody, you smother. No, not smother. Like,
Crush?
Smuggler. Smother.
What are you trying to do to this person?
I want to be like the snuggler smother.
Oh, you just kill them with cuddles?
Dick Chomper.
What?
Poor Anthony.
No, you'd do that and like you would write notes to the FBI and you'd sign it, the Dick Chomper, and the FBI would be like, "No, we're not calling you that.
Yeah, we'll call you whatever.
We're
we
not
want.
releasing this to the papers."
Yeah. It's terrible.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
Oh, my turn.
Your turn.
It is Anthony's turn. Boom.
Wait, what?
She's our sound effects.
Anyway,
Sound effects machine.
so for my serial killer, I did Edward Theodore Gein, aka the Butcher of Plainfield, or the Ghoul of Plainfield.
Joe, do you know about him?
Oi.
Oi.
Boy.
He's a famous one.
It all started in 1906 in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Okay, so he was born, he had one older brother and his mom and dad, right? So his dad was a horrible, raging alcoholic, and his mother was a super fanatic religious person. And she always taught Ed and his brother that everyone was sinners, horrible sinners, and all going to burn in hell, except for their mother. She was the only one who was good. And all women were only put on this earth to seduce them of lust. And that all women were evil, except for his mother.
Mhm.
Okay? So his dad later on died of a heart attack
Oi.
when he was a little boy. And then he was left with just his mom. And then once his dad died, his mom became even more fanatic and religious and moved them out of La Crosse to Plainfield, Wisconsin. which is a tiny town in Wisconsin of less than 700 people. And they lived on the outskirts of town in a secluded farmhouse, all by themselves. And they weren't allowed to have any friends. The only time they were ever allowed to leave the house without their mother was to go to school, and they had to come right back home. Then, when Ed Gein was a teenager, his house caught fire, and half his house burnt down, and his brother went missing. And they thought that his brother died in the fire, but later, like a week later, the police found his brother in the woods with his back of his head smashed in.
Oh my gosh. Oi.
Boy. For some reason, they never investigated his brother's murder. They just said that he died from smoke inhalation. Very weird. So anyway, then Ed Gein was left with just his mother. So it was just him and his mom living in the secluded farmhouse where they never left. And then eventually his mom died from a stroke. And then he was like this weird guy that lived in a farmhouse all by himself, never went to talk to anybody. The only time he would go to town was when he needed supplies. So in 1957, there was a hardware store owner, and she didn't open the hardware store. It's a tiny town, 700 people, so it was like everybody knew each other. So she didn't open the hardware store one day, so everyone thought it was weird. So her son went to go check on her, and his son happened to be the sheriff.
Oi.
And he opened the hardware store and found a trail of blood leading from the counter all the way to the back door, and then tire tracks through the snow out. So they checked the sales ledger, and just by happened, the last person to be in the store that bought something was Ed Gein. So they just checked his house just by luck. So they went to his house. He had no running water, no electricity. So it was at nighttime, and they went in, and he wasn't home. So one of the cops seen that the shed door was cracked open a little bit, so he's like, let me just check this out real quick. So they opened the shed, and with their flashlight, they seen the owner of the hardware store was hanging by meat hooks from the roof of the woodshed with her head cut off.
Gosh.
So they arrested Ed Gein.
Oi.
They went in and they searched his house, and what they found in his house was horrible. It was a horrible, gruesome discovery when they opened his house. So they found human body parts and bones laying all over the floor, all over everywhere. They found a wastebasket made out of human skin. They found he had reupholstered all his chairs out of human skin. He had excuse me. He had skulls on the 4 bedposts of his bed. He had soup bowls made out of human skulls. Like he cut the top of the skulls off and turned them into soup bowls, and that's he ate with that. They also went into his room. Where they found a corset made from a female torso that was skin from the shoulder to the waist. Okay? They found leggings made out of female leg skin. They found multiple masks made from female skin. Okay? Then the hardware store owner that they found dead in the woodshed, they went into his basement, or not his basement, his garage, and they found a black kettle, and they found her heart boiling in the kettle in the garage, like he was going to eat it. They then found a belt that he made out of human skin. They found belt buckles that he made from female nipples. They found 4 people's noses in a paper bag in his kitchen.
Oi.
They found a pair of lips that he's sewn into his window shades, like human lips, like from your face. Sewn them on his window shades, so like the sun shines through, it looks like kissing the ground. He had a lampshade that he made out of human skin. And he had an entire jar full of female fingernails.
Oh my gosh.
So they arrested Ed Gein.
Yeah.
And he was sent to a mental health facility. And he was charged with the murder of that hardware store owner, who's also charged with the murder of a local tavern owner that went missing in 1954, so 3 years earlier, because they found her head in his house. So they charged him with that murder. So he was charged with 2 murders, and he was also known for robbing graves. Like, he would go to local graveyards and dig up body parts and steal the corpses and take them back to his house. So he was charged with 2 counts of murder and 9 counts of body snatching. He went to a mental health facility and was found unfit to stand trial. So he stayed in the mental health facility until 1968, where then he was then found mentally fit to withstand trial. So he stood trial, and then he was found legally insane and sentenced to life in a mental health facility, where he stayed until 1984, where he died at the age of 77 from liver failure. So he was charged and convicted with 2 counts of murder and 9 counts of body snatching. He never admitted to killing anybody ever, even though they found the dead body. But it was believed that he's killed up to 40 people.
Oi.
And that he's robbed over 100 graves, which he's also never admitted to.
Mm.
And then they would ask him, well, how did you get all those body parts? And he would say, sometimes I would black out and go into a daze. And sometimes I would wake up in a cemetery with a shovel in my hand. I don't know how I got there. And then he would go home. He's like, and sometimes I would wake up and I would be in my house and then be all these new body parts. But he's like, well, I do something with it. So he was a practicing taxidermist, so that's what he would do, just practice taxidermy. But yeah, he died in 1984, and he never admitted to a single murder.
Oh my god. I mean, think about how much skin you need to make all those things.
That's nuts.
And Norman Bates from the movie Psycho is based off Ed Gein. Mm-hmm. And Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs is based off him.
Oi.
What was the other one?
Put the lotion in the basket.
Right. I don't remember who the other one was.
Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, yeah. The Texas Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is also loosely based off Ed Gein. Like how he wears that skin mask. That's
sick.
Yeah.
So he just wanted to wear human flesh?
No, so what happened was he would, like, they found, like, most of the bodies, like, most of the graves he would dig up, or like, most of the 2 people that he killed and most of the bodies he would snatch up were overweight, middle-aged women who reminded him of his mother. And then he was a practicing taxidermist, so he would skin them and take their skin off and then wear it to look like his mother, because he was so obsessed with his mother, because he was never allowed to have any friends. His mother told him all women were evil except for her. So, and he lived with just his mom for his whole life, so he was like obsessed with her.
Oi.
So when she died, he went crazy and made himself into his mother in a human skin. So all his victims were like people who resembled his mother in looks.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
He's crazy.
Yeah, Imagine walking into that house.
The police said it was like the most horrifying scene they've ever seen. And like, it's like small town Wisconsin sheriffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't deal with stuff like that.
Like the deputy didn't even have a gun.
God, yeah.
Yeah. I read somewhere that in Ed Gein's house they also found a bag of wilted vaginas.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine.
What the fuck are you doing with that? What, like the lips?
I don't know.
Well, also,
how do they wilt?
Also, what they said was,
They get
like a bag of, maybe it was a bag of prunes and they were just mixed up. There's like, there's gotta be vaginas. Look at everything else. Everything else is made of skin. Boy.
What they would do is like, some of the graves that he was known to rob, like they would go to those graves and they would, dig them back up after he was arrested and checked. And a lot of like the organs from those, like he left the bodies, but like would take the organs out and stuff, but they never found the organs. But then they found that one lady's heart in the kettle. So they just thought that he was like just eating them. Like
you have to be a real psychopath for all those. Like some of those movies that you mentioned are like, those are big serial killer movies. You're so scary. You inspired,
numerous movies.
Yeah.
No, I mean that it's not even like he just like murdered and killed people. Like he sat there for hours, like skinning them
Playing
and
with their
making
bodies.
things.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh, I got to reupholster this chair. You know how long it takes to reupholster a chair? You got to
With
skin a
bits of
body.
skin?
No, he would like fillet a whole skin and then reupholster the chair with it. It was like,
my god.
you know what I mean?
Oi.
Oi.
And it was weird because like they would like go through his kitchen and then like open a paper bag and be like, oh, noses. Like, what's in this jar? Oh, fingernails. Yeah, all right.
Oh, that's bad.
This is why I'd be such a bad serial killer because I cannot.
Because you feel empathy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but fingernails? Could you ever take off someone's fingernails?
No, but that's exactly why you couldn't be a serial killer, because you feel empathy. Serial killers don't feel empathy or pain for you.
Yeah.
Like, that's how they do it. They have no
You're
conscience.
concerned about the fingernails?
Yeah.
You hear
Let me tell you
everything
something.
else? You want to go down the list again? I think she's focusing on the wrong thing.
No, I understand what you're saying, because when I watch, like, horror movies, and, like, people being tortured, like, in the movie, like, Hostel or something, and sosomeone rips off their fingernail, I'm like, oh, I gotta
I hate
turn it off.
that,
I gotta turn it off.
Or when
Like,
in scary
Yeah.
movies where they put their hands on the ground, they're getting pulled.
Oh my gosh, yes. Or like this.
Oi.
The one Saw movie where her hair gets tangled in this thing and it's pulling her hair off of her head.
Ooh, I don't like these.
I'm like, oh my.
That's too much.
no, you know what's the worst? You ever see that movie, The Strangers?
Yes.
How, like, it's based on a true story?
Yeah.
And, like, you see the end when, like, they tie that lady to the chair and they slowly push the knife into her.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, just, like, you could stab me 100 times, like, whatever, but don't slowly do it.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's torture. There is a band based out of Chicago, and they're called Macabre,
Okay.
and they do murder metal. And they have a catalog of songs that are devoted to all the serial killers.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chicago's got some pretty famous serial killers that were either in Chicago or linked somehow to Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ted Bundy, Wayne Gacy.
Yeah.
Whole bunch. That guy you just said.
H.H. Holmes, yeah.
H.H. Holmes.
Yeah, because it was Bundy and Gacy who sat in that bar.
Yeah.
That serial killer bar.
Yeah.
One of our
Oi.
one of our favorite dive bars in Chicago.
Who's favorite?
Yeah.
Mine and Anthony's, I guess.
Yeah. Did you guys know that 1 in 4 people are capable of being serial killers?
You just made that shit
Yeah,
up.
you're just making shit up.
Yeah, but there's a difference between being capable and going through with it.
Like bugged out first.
I was like,
She started
1,
looking
2,
around the
3,
room.
4. It's got to be Michaela.
She's like, 1, 2, 3. Oh my god, there's 4 people.
No, we all know if any of us were to be a serial killer in this room. Everyone on a count of 3, say who it would be. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Anthony.
What?
You say you Michaela can't ever leave you. You gonna put her in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
You guys weren't gonna pick on me, huh? All right.
He's going to get us back. Yeah, that's probably was not a good idea.
Yeah.
Do you know there are 6 phases of the serial killer cycle?
What?
Phase 1.
Phase 1.
The aura phase. This is where the serial killer begins to lose grip on reality. Phase 2. The trolling stage. This is where the serial killer stalks a victim or searches for a victim. Phase 3. The wooing stage. This is where the killer lures the victim. Step 4, or stage 4, capture. The victim is entrapped. Phase 5, murder. This is where the murder takes place. This is the emotional climax for the serial killer. And then phase 6 is actually depression. They get very, very depressed after killing. Because you get that high and then it's like a crash.
Yeah. So they gotta do it again.
So they gotta keep doing it. Like a drug.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, until you got till stage 5, I was like, sounds very familiar.
Why? Like
Kill
dating?
people?
Sounds like dating.
Sounds like dating. My dating experience.
With me?
Read them real quick.
Aura.
Okay.
So am I the serial killer in this sense?
You're the serial killer.
Aura.
I'm
I
the
begin
victim.
to lose grip on reality. Phase 2. I'm stalking my victim. Oh, that's fucked up.
Go ahead, watch this.
Wooing. Yeah, I always said I was wooing you. I'm luring you. Capture. Now you stuck. We married. I guess we'll stop there. Mm-hmm. Except I'm killing it being a wife.
You are killing it.
Ba-dunch.
Tales over ales.
What's brewing?
Next podcast we have Halloween. That's our Halloween party.
Halloweeny.
Michaela won't be here.
I will not be here.
So if anyone wants to call in and say things wrong, we'll hand out our number beforehand. So
yeah, people listen out there. Jill's phone number is.
Beep.
All right, write it down.
Yeah, it should be fun though. I'm looking forward to that episode.
Yeah. Her personal email is.
Beep. Beeped out. Beeped out. All right, so let's close it out.
Dummy. What a dummy.
Boy.
You're not a dummy.
All right, so everybody here, if you can be in one of each other's heads for 60 seconds, who would you choose?
Ooh.
You.
Me?
Yeah. That's why. Because of that laugh.
Jeez, I don't know. Whose thoughts would I want to know?
I would be in your head because you are always thinking, your head's always...
You would not want to be in my head.
Yeah, for that reason. See, that reason right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, because I'm just constantly thinking things at 100 miles per hour.
I know, but I just want...
It'd be
What the hell are
exhausting.
you thinking about?
It's exhausting.
What? I just want to see how your brain operates.
I always imagine Jill's brain. It's like, you know when you watch movies and there's like, and there's like a genius and they're trying to solve a problem. So like math equations are flying through the air. Like that's how I picture her brain.
I honestly, I'm very flattered, but I don't get that. People keep saying that about me. And remember I said to you the other day, I was like, why do people say that I'm smart?
It's
I'm not
because of the
saying
way you
anything.
solve problems and like you think so intensely about it. I'm like, you're so good at math. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand people who are good at math. Like that bothers me. When people are able to like figure out complex math in their head, like I want to crotch chop you in the throat.
Jeez. I don't know who I'd pick. There's a reason I'd pick all three of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to be in Michaela's head because I would want to see what it's like in there.
But why?
I could just stop there.
But
But
why?
there was
She
more to
just-
that sentence.
She just lets everything out. Like there's
Yeah,
nothing
but
left.
I would like to see what it's like in there when she's trying to say something and it doesn't come out right. You know, like when, do you know what I mean? Like that moment. I'd love to be in there for the moment,
Oi.
where you're saying something and as it's coming out of your mouth, you're realizing that that's incorrect or crazy.
All right,
I'd love
it's
to be
like
there
this.
for that.
You know when you're driving your car in the snow,
Mm.
and it's like, oh, I gotta leave, and then you bullshit with someone, and then you leave 10 minutes later than you wanted to, and now it's snowing bad outside, and you're like, Psst, I got this. So you start driving, and your car starts sliding in the snow, and you're like, oh shit, I don't got this.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what's
what
happening.
it's like inside. And then I think I want to be inside Anthony's head, because
You'd be bored up in there.
he's always so sarcastic. And I feel like usually people who are sarcastic probably keep about 80% of it in the head
Yeah.
and don't say it out loud. So I'd like to hear all of it.
No.
You
be
would
bored.
want me to hear all of it.
No, you'd be bored up in there. You'd be so bored. You'd be like, what the hell is this? Nothing.
And then you're so closed off sometimes. You're very like, you keep thinking a lot of things in. So I would love to be in your head.
Boy.
See what you really, See what you really think
Oi.
about things. I like that question. That was a good question.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
question.
That was a very good question.
Michaela, would you like to respond to the
Yeah.
question? Do you know what the question was?
Yes, I know what the
Nobody tell
question
her.
was, and I don't really know because I was kind of thinking Jill, but then I was like, I don't want to be thinking all the time.
It's 60 seconds. You're not stuck in there forever.
It's still a lot. It's still a lot. But yeah, I would choose not to be in my head if I could. If that was this follow-up question. Oi.
Boy.
Boy.
But then if I was in Anthony's head, I couldn't do that.
Why?
I would just think about his downstairs.
That's what you do
It should
now
be
in your
60
own head.
seconds of masturbation. Yeah, you know what?
I don't know what you're gonna do with the other 30 seconds.
I take it back. I don't ever want to be in Michaela's house because all that's going on, there's just dicks up there. That's all that's up there.
Yeah.
Flying
It's
dicks.
like you ever seen the
Flying
movie
dicks.
Superbad?
Yeah.
When his lunchbox falls open, it's all his dick pics.
That's
her brain.
Michaela's brain. Dicks.
Yeah.
And she's fine with that.
And she's proud.
Ain't no shame in my game. So probably
She's
Jess.
your friend. So probably Jess. I feel like Jess, if you like Jess's brain, to me, I always feel like,
Oi.
it's probably like this, like, I always think it's probably like a stoner lounge. Cause she's so chill. You know, like she doesn't smoke, but I feel like you'd go up there and she'd be like, come on in. And there'd be big fluffy couches everywhere, and the people would be sitting on the couch, but with their feet up on the wall. You know,
She'd
it's
be
like
like-
that kind of place.
She'd be like, welcome to my crib.
Yeah, welcome to my crib. What do you want? You want something? Want me to whip you up whip you up a little snack? You want
Little
some
nosh?
Yeah, you want nosh and some bacon wrapped shrimp out of nowhere? Just like make this up. You know, it's very chill up there.
You need
Everyone's
some
wearing sweatpants.
bloomers?
Yeah, right. Everyone's wearing bloomers and sweatpants and happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got no watches on.
Right, yeah.
And no clocks on the walls.
I can't. I couldn't live like that. But I'd like to
Okay.
see what it's like
She's
for 60
like,
seconds.
we don't rush around here.
Mhm.
We take our time.
rushing. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Well, it's like the other day. Oi. She had to
Oi.
go to this, she had something to do, so she had to be somewhere at like 2:00. So she's like, I'm gonna, it's like 12:30. She's like, I'm gonna run to ShopRite real quick because she had to get a couple things for me to make dinner. So
I said I was going to the store.
she no. Okay. So we needed like one thing from ShopRite, right? So all of a sudden it's like, it's like 2:00 and I call her and I'm like, where are you? Oh yeah, I just got to ShopRite. I said, hell you been? Lidl.
That's not right.
She's going
No privacy.
Lidl, CVS, Rite Aid. I'm like, and then she comes back and she's like, I'm late. I'm going to be late. I said, why, if you knew you had to be a half an hour away at 2:00,
Yeah.
why would you go to those? I thought I would have more time. It was like, there's no concept of time.
No.
In your head.
Boy.
At all.
But it worked out in my favor.
Yeah, it worked out. It always does. You just chill. Everything just kind of works out for you and all the time. Like it was me. Like I was panicking for her.
She's like, babe, where are you?
Seriously, come on. Where are you? You still
Then
gotta
like,
eat.
she's like, I get home. And she's like, you need to eat before you leave. And I'm like, okay. So
So she sits. She makes this. She sits down. She gets her puzzle out. I'm like. I was like, I felt like screaming. I felt like screaming. That's like the time we were in Seattle, and like when you travel with me, like you guys know, there are times for things. Times we're gonna be in the car. Times we're gonna be at the place. Times I never missed a flight my whole life. How many flights you miss?
2.
Yeah. So we're in Seattle, and coming home from Seattle, she goes, "Just let me worry about
Oi.
Let me worry about the traveling. I got this. You're always doing it. I'll take care of it." I said, okay, I'm going to She's like, you need to learn how to give up control. So I said, okay, here you go. It's your responsibility. I'm not going to complain. We missed the flight, whatever you want. So then we're sightseeing, and it's the morning that we have to leave, and our stuff's still at the hotel, and we're walking around. And she's like, I want to check this store out. I'm like this. I couldn't tell you how sick I was, like, because it was. I would have already been at the airport, but this was like we were gonna get there like 15 minutes before boarding, So, and I'm like in my head, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, and she's like, "Let's go in the map store. Let's go here." We made
you
it.
loved globes, and I wanted you to pick out a globe that you like, this and that. She was losing her mind. She had to call her mother. She was losing
I
her
called my
mind.
mom outside. I said, "Mom, I don't think I'm gonna make it home." She goes, "Why?" And I tell her the whole thing, and she's like, "This is good for you." I was like, Anyway, we hope you enjoyed our serial killer episode. Serial killer. Right? Serial killers.
Serial killers. Killing in cereal.
Killing cereal. Killing a lot.
Delicious Bloody Marys.
Bloody Marys were delicious.
Yes.
Okay. That was a good touch. Good idea.
Mhm.
Jillian.
Thank you. Oi.
Okay.
Anyway, tune in next week for our Halloween party.
Yeah, Halloween party.
We're
Bring your
celebrating. Yeah, bring your costumes. We're celebrating Michaela not being here.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
You guys
We'll
are gonna
miss her.
me.
We'll miss her.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Adios.
Peace.
out.
Bye.
Hey, great job. You completed a power hour with us. Tune in next week for more trash talk with your favorite brute chachos. Follow us on Facebook for all the updates and listen to us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Tales over ales.
What's brewing?